Hello everybody, welcome back to City Skylines, to Aurelia. After doing the interchanges last time, we are back to the place from episode 16. We built the tram transfer stops in there, and also, if you remember, we placed a train station nearby, but we didn't really build anything around it, so that's going to be the place we're going to focus on today. It's mostly going to be residential buildings with maybe a few offices and shops here and there, so let's go. Okay, so we had this canal over here, and I only built on that one side next to, well, closer to that tram stops that we built in episode 16, right? So we obviously need to finish it from this side as well, and it's going to be pretty straightforward. I don't really want to do anything all that crazy with this canal anymore. I think we kind of did that with the previous ones, so this one is going to be a bit more straightforward. I'm just going to put a lot of these, well, I'm going to put the paths. I think these are the park life paths, and I'm going to just put them all around this this canal to hide the edges of it, obviously, because they don't look all that great. I don't really want to have them visible, and I'm just going to put these paths so that they can be quite convenient for the people to walk around, and they definitely heavily use these paths, so that is kind of all right. Now, we have a bit of a problem with noise, because this train station obviously produces a lot of noise in the game. Now, I know that I could probably get rid of that if I used... there is a mod, I'm not exactly sure. I think it's called Modify It or something like that, where you can change pretty much every stat for a building, like, for example, the noise pollution. But I don't really have it, I don't really want to use it, so I'm just going to put a lot of office buildings to kind of create some kind of a buffer zone around the train station. And right next to the office buildings there's going to be residential buildings. So that's exactly what we are doing over here. We have this little sunken area, which is, I'm not sure if you can see that, it's between the railroad and the main avenue. And like I said, it's a bit sunken, so a perfect opportunity to create some kind of a multi-level residential block again, just like I was doing sometimes before. I'm definitely going to revisit this, how to call it, like architectural way of doing residential blocks, I guess, for maybe different places around the city. Although this obviously requires some changes in elevation, and we kind of are running out of changes in elevation, because the rest of the areas in the city are kind of more flat than this place. So who knows? Maybe I'm not going to use these in the future. Maybe I will. I'm not sure. But anyway, back to this location. So I already put these buildings in here. These are the buildings that I have used previously as well, near the crater. These are the Dutch row buildings, I guess. They are quite recently added into the workshop. Well, it's probably been a few months, maybe a few weeks. But they look very nice, and they are obviously absolutely perfect for these kinds of rows. So they are called row buildings for a reason, obviously, but also for creating the different shapes, especially these like inner shapes, where you can really make them go into a curve and just fill these places really, really nicely. You can't definitely do that with that many buildings in this game. It's quite rare, actually, to have a nice row building, especially a residential building, that you can use for this purpose. You only have, well, these, and then you have those, again, I don't know their names, contemporary apartments or mid-rise apartments, something like that. You know, the ones with the red bricks. I also placed those near the crater. So those are pretty much the only two options to do this kind of design. But it's looking all right with these as well. Right, so like I said, some office buildings right next to the train station right there. And now we are at the end of the canal. At first I wanted to kind of stretch the canal underneath the main avenue, but I wasn't really sure where to end it, and I would have probably needed to create something similar like this at the end of the canal anyway, so I just decided to end it right next to the main avenue, and obviously the main avenue is a bit higher, quite a lot higher than the end of the canal, right? So at first I wanted to have maybe some kind of a, I don't know, like a park, which would have like a twisted road for pedestrians going up, but that would require a lot of space. I don't think I really had it in this place, so I just decided to use these. Again, absolutely no idea what these are called, the white buildings, but I think they are part of the quad collection, the futuristic building collection. So they fit perfectly, and again, they are very, very nice for rows. But this particular type of building is only suitable for completely straight rows. You can't really, because they are, you know, curved towards the top, you can't really make them like horizontally curved, let's say, right? So you only need to place them in one row. I was trying to put those buildings near a crater, like around the crater, but that's when I discovered that it's impossible to use those in like a horizontal curved shapes, right? But this place was absolutely perfect for them. I had to use them as procedural objects though, because they were a lot taller than I needed, so I had to sink them to the ground a bit to make the area how I wanted it to. Right, but we are already doing something completely different. At first, I placed in this block, I placed some very high-rise buildings. I think the exact same one, which is right next to the tram transfer stop, like a brownish building, which is looking all right, but it's kind of looking all right by its own. You can't really have it like next to different buildings. Sometimes it might look all right, but in this particular area it didn't. So I just copied these, again, what are these called? I don't know. I think these are actually called the contemporary apartment buildings. You probably can see it in the screen right now. I can't. But yeah, those were kind of looking all right. And I really wanted to have, I think I was talking about this in some future, not future, what's the opposite of future, in some last episodes, whatever, where I mentioned that, or maybe I was just talking about it on the live stream, I don't know, that it's kind of important to have some continuity between different blocks. Like if you have, let's say, some kind of a road network and you create some, blocks or just grids, let's say, and you put one building, one particular style of building in one block and different style of buildings in different blocks, then it's kind of looking strange. Because usually in real life, you have multiple blocks built in the same exact style, or maybe even same exact buildings. Maybe they were part of some one bigger project. So it definitely creates a very good impression if you put the buildings of the same style or completely the same buildings in different blocks, like across the street or something like that. It just creates the idea that, the entire area was maybe built in like one project, or maybe the entire district was designed by one architect, or maybe something like that, which is probably going to be very common in some future cities, especially cities like these, where a lot of city blocks would probably be built in a very short time. So they probably would be built in one style and maybe quite possibly constructed by one company, one architect, or something like that, right? But anyway, we are already moving on quite fast in this episode. So you can see that I was already crossing this main avenue and doing something on the other side. I just put a few of those high density, high-rise, well, kind of high-rise buildings, but they are a bit sunken compared to the level of the main avenue, because they are built to the level of the road that's going from the canal. And it's obviously the tram road, and the tram road, right when it goes underneath the main avenue, goes into a tunnel. You could have seen me changing that tram tracks into a tunnel. And then we created some kind of a procedural object for the tunnel, like an arch. It's a bit historical arch in there, but I think it looked quite all right in there, even though, arches or arch stone bridges are obviously something of the past, but maybe this was a historical bridge that was just built around, something like that. Now, on this other side of the main avenue, I really wanted to build some kind of a sunken area again, and I decided to just do it very simply and kind of lightly, and just to do this shopping mall, this kind of moderately big shopping mall building. Well, it's quite big compared to all the other shops that you can build in this game, obviously. So I put it here. It fits perfectly. It's kind of sunken, obviously, in this area, and I built it so that the roof of the building kind of goes almost to the level of the upper level of the street, right? The one that goes to the crater area, the one that we've been building some time ago. And obviously, because this is a sunken area, it's a good opportunity to create some kind of an entrance under the ground, maybe some kind of a parking garage, something like that. Probably for those residential buildings that we can see over here. By the way, these residential buildings, I think I downloaded those quite recently, particularly for this area. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think these are some new additions to my entire collection of buildings that I use, and they are quite nice, especially because you can build them in a row again. They are not going to be looking all that super nice, curved in like a, again, horizontal curve, but it's all right. It's definitely all right. So it's a good way to fill the corner next to the crater, which obviously that corner is right there. But enough of that. Those buildings are going to be seen in the cinematic. You can definitely see that they do fit that place quite nicely. But now we are next to the main avenue again, and we need to create some kind of an entrance, or let's say some kind of a connection between the main avenue, which is obviously up, and this sunken area, which is going to be some kind of a park right next to that shopping mall. So again, this is pretty straightforward. I was doing this kind of design in some previous builds again, which was I think when I was building those what's it called, the residential hive, then I was building that like a shopping gallery, and at the end of it I did something very, very similar to this. So this is going to be a bit bigger than that. Again, we are building stairs, 2 of them. One is going at 45 degrees to the main avenue, this one. And the other one, we built that earlier, that goes straight towards the mall, which is obviously going to be used by a lot of people who want to go there. Now we have this little, let's say like a courtyard between the main avenue and the residential buildings, and I really wanted to put this particular building. I was going exactly for this one. I was not really experimenting with other buildings. I just wanted to have this particular building. It's in here. It's a cinema, probably German cinema, I guess, and it's looking really, really great. Kind of old-ish building, but why not have it there? It looks kind of all right. And just doing some finishing touches for this connection between the upper and lower areas. Obviously some procedural objects, but not that many actually, only for these pavements over here, but most of the stuff is done using those retaining walls, the stone walls, and props, the planters and the stairs. And like I was saying, we're gonna do some kind of a park down here. So not really all that complicated park, just a few trees, obviously paths through it, and a lot of trees inside it, with even some like park decorations, well, benches. I didn't really do that many decorations. I'm not really, that good with creating parks, but I don't really want to overdo it with these parks because they are there just to fill that area. Really, it's not really the main focus on this place. Okay. So this place is almost done, just doing some finishing touches with all these nice decorations in here, especially the flowers. The flowers always look good with these multi-level designs, I guess, with the planters on the many tiers and all that. And obviously to make this all come to life, we need to put these paths over here. I'm always doing it with this vanilla path first, elevated, needs to be elevated, and then switching it for the invisible pedestrian path. You can see that I have 3 invisible pedestrian paths, but I only use the one that doesn't have the width written next to it. For some reason, it just works best for these particular sizes of the roads, all right? And at the end, you can see it in here. We were just doing the decorations over here. I usually just do it by just creating the place with buildings, and then just taking a step back, looking at it at the entire place if it fits, and then just putting trees in the empty areas. So that's it. And we are almost at the end of this episode from Aurelia. The city slowly but quite nicely continues to grow. We still need to step it up with residential areas though. There is still a huge need for workers in the city. So residential blocks are definitely going to follow. But in the next episode, we are going to revisit the core of the city, just next to the main super interchange that we could have seen in the episode 1. There are still some gaps here and there, which I really want to fill, because like I said, episode 20 will be all cinematic episode, where I really want to have those places finished. I hope you guys liked today's episode. If you did, then leave a like and comment, share the video if you want, follow me on Twitter, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, take care, goodbye.